Hey everyone, welcome to MTG 808 Junior. You have Mike on the mic. Then we got Sean.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
We got Eric.
Hello, guys.
And we're coming at you with another video. Before we want to talk about our top 10 cards in Ikoria, the new set that just dropped digitally last week, and on paper is gonna drop May 15th. So before we get into that,
it'll hopefully drop.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully.
If everything's all well. Before we get into our picks, we want to let you folks know about our website, our MTG 808 Junior WordPress. So we have all the info you need in terms of upcoming events, which probably going to be a while. Deck text.
Everything is indefinitely postponed right now.
So
everything.
So, as soon as we get more information, we'll send it out to you folks. But definitely, please keep your eyes peeled for that. We also have our Facebook page. Same thing. It has all our information, content, anything upcoming. We'll let you folks know. This project, we couldn't have done this without our lovely Patreons. So this is our Patreon page. Supporting what you can will help support this project as much as possible. So big mahalos, big shout outs, and a big thank you to our Patreons on our screen. Cody,
yes,
Daniel, David, Game Escape, James, Jennifer, Joe, Kelsey, Koji, Marcus, Matthew, Mike, Robert, Ryan, Swarm Tides, Travis, and Ward. So big mahalos to all of you. And Sean, take it away with
we do have a special announcement. I am itching to talk about Ikoria. This set is sweet and awesome. But before we get to that, we want to make an announcement as an extra perk for our patrons, and with an attempt to kind of stitch our community together, since we can't run tournaments in person. Our new bonus perk for our patrons is our Discord channel. So we just launched our Discord channel. Can you pull it up, Mike? And if you join the Patreon, even if you're just doing the $1 a month, all the patron tiers get it. You will get the link to join the Patreon or the Discord channel, and we're hoping that the Discord channel will become kind of a hub for standard artisan discussion. Of course, if you want to give us feedback on the project. And then, of course, we have our challenge channel. So if you're just itching to get a game of Standard Artisan, hopefully you'll be able to find somebody in the challenge channel. So jump into the Discord. We will be active on it. When we make new content, we'll be posting to it. And then hopefully you can find like-minded people who are equally excited about Standard Artisan.
Nice.
So check out the Patreon page, check out the Discord channel. We hope to see you in there.
Yes. All right, now that out of the way, Ikoria. Woo! And I have to give a big Ric Flair.
The lair of behemoths.
This is such a busted set.
God.
So
this is the most fun that I've had drafting in a very long time.
Yeah, you can do lots of crazy big things.
Yeah, and usually when the draft format is good, that means that like Pauper and Artisan are going to be really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get into our top 10 here.
Yes, and go ahead, Sean.
So the way that we've been doing it for a couple sets now, each of us have come up with our list of top 10 cards. In this case, some of us have done some packages of cards that are most likely going to be played together, but we have a top 10, and we haven't revealed our top 10 to each other yet. So even though there's probably going to be a fair amount of overlap, we are completely in the dark as to where everyone else ranked these cards. So it'll be a nice discussion for us to kind of get on the same page in terms of where we think these cards are ranked in power level, and it'll also be an opportunity for everyone to kind of just see where kind of the starting points in the format are going to be.
All right. But yeah.
So, do you guys have any honorable mentions?
Honorable.
Oh, I have one.
All right.
All right. Start us
So
off,
one of
Eric.
my favorite decks that I've been playing during Artisan online is the Reanimator deck, the Dragon Dreams, if you guys remember. And one card that really works with it, it's a reprint, Cathartic Reunion.
Oh yeah.
Yep, it's just like Tormenting Voice, where you discard and draw, but you get to discard one extra card and draw one extra card.
Yeah. So,
So-
for those of you who don't know, Cathartic Reunion is 1 red, 1 colorless sorcery. As an additional cost to cast it, discard 2 cards, and then you draw 3 cards.
Yep, that drawing 3 cards, it is so good, especially if you're trying to discard cards.
Which the Reanimator deck definitely wants to do.
Yep, and I think there's one other deck that could be viable, maybe not, that would also use Cathartic Reunion.
Ooh, is it draw?
And I'll talk about it later on. I'll talk about it
this,
later on.
this might belong in the spells deck too. Do you guys know what the appropriate nickname is for this card?
Nope.
Say it.
This card is called Hug,
Hug.
Oh,
right? It's Hug. Look at
Hug.
the art.
Oh, Hug.
Yeah.
Hug.
Nice.
Yeah. So the first time Cathartic Reunion came out was in Kaladesh, and I was testing for that Pro Tour with a bunch of people, and we were just proxying up all sorts of decks, and we would just write Hug on the cards for Cathartic Reunion.
Oh,
I guess that's what it's just going to be from now on with all of the art.
Yeah, this is the second art that they've had on it, and again, it's a hug. So
was the
Yeah.
first one
I
Chandra
think
hugging
that
somebody?
solidifies it.
The first picture was.
Yeah, it was Chandra and her mom in the first one.
Yeah, Chandra and Mommy.
Pia.
Pia. But yeah, like my.
Okay, well,
Go ahead, Sean.
yeah, Mike's honorable mention.
Oh man, I gotta say Essence Scatter, man. I love that card.
Good old Essence Scatter.
Essence Scatter,
Mhm.
man. This is like I feel like with this format being creature based. I mean, I feel like there's a lot more. I feel like creature based is gonna be a thing. Essence Scatter is just a nice piece to add on, especially to like all the control decks running around or will be running around.
Yeah, it's good and cheap.
So for those of you who don't know, Essence Scatter is 1 blue, 1 colorless instant counter target creature spell, and that includes Mutate, which is one of the new keywords from this set.
That's right.
Essence Scatter has been amazing in Ikoria Limited so far. It lines up great against all the big giant monsters, and it's just a very good card. Like, this was a staple in Standard Pauper, and it's definitely going to make its way into Standard Artisan as well. 2 mana counter spells, even though they're conditional, are still very good. My honorable mention, you guys might have this higher on your list, since you said you have some commons on your list. My honorable mention is Fire Prophecy. So Fire Prophecy is 1 colorless, 1 red, instant, deals 3 damage to target creature, and you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library. If you do, you draw a card. So like, if you're playing a control deck, or just like any deck that's trying to answer creatures, being able to do that while also smoothing out your draws is very, very powerful. Like, usually control decks, they need to choose between either spending their mana on controlling the board or spending their mana on sculpting their draws, and being able to do both in one card is very powerful. The only reason I don't have this ranked higher in my top 10 is because this doesn't kill Narset. So like Scorching Dragonfire does hit Planeswalkers, and so I think that like some of the red control-y-ish decks will want to play Scorching Dragonfire instead of this. But if this dealt damage to Planeswalkers too, it would just be a slam dunk. If this dealt damage to Planeswalkers, this would like be a tier 1 card in real standard.
Definitely. I feel like Scorching Dragonfire is like pretty prime removal, and it also exiles. So like, I mean, there's no cat combo. So, but if the cat was still there, then that'd be out. And it also answers Annex for those mono red players. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exiling Annex is important. Yeah, so because this is competing with Scorching Dragonfire, I don't have it ranked higher, but the fact that you get to control the board and sculpt your draws is just too powerful for me not to mention, although it is only honorable.
Yeah, especially in the end game too, where like you just have a bunch of lands and you can just kill a creature and hopefully draw something better, stuff like that.
Yeah. If you're putting an irrelevant card on the bottom of your deck, then it's essentially kill something, draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all I've got for honorable mentions. Do you guys have any more?
Nah.
All right.
All right. So Eric, take us away with your number 10.
So, let's go back to Eldraine. In Eldraine, there was a card that I had in my, my honorable mentions. It was, you don't have to search it up, Mike. It's Fortifying Provision. It was a card that gave your creatures +0/+1. And I said that this was a really good showing that Wizards is willing to print more powerful cards in the future. And we got a card just like this. It's a Anthem, and it's called Sanctuary Lockdown. Sanctuary Lockdown is a 1 and a white, or 2 and a white, and it's an enchantment. And this enchantment gives humans you control +1/+1, and you can pay 2 and tap 2 untapped humans to tap a creature. So, just the idea of making a humans deck, now you can, just because you have not only this Anthem, but the other Anthem in red-white. So it feels like having a humans deck is more viable now.
What's the Anthem in red-white?
The one where knights, so you could do human knights.
Oh, yeah, it's an Anthem for knights.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Not only that,
I don't have this on my top 10, but I definitely thought about it. I'm not sure if the human critical mass is there. The fact that there isn't like a cheap way to make tokens makes me skeptical. But like, if you're able to reach that critical mass of humans, this card is bananas.
yeah, I think especially with Eldraine and this set, I think there's a lot of humans that you can just throw in and it'll be kind of successful. We'll have to see.
I can see this in a board, like a knights deck too, because aren't most of the knights are humans anyways.
Yeah.
White knights are, yeah.
So like
Some of the black
So-
ones.
For some of our youth players out there that may not recognize the power of that second ability, being able to tap your opponent's creatures, like when they move into their attack step, you can activate this ability. You pay 2, you tap 2 humans that you control, you tap down their creature, that prevents them from attacking, and then that also means that creature can't block on the next turn. So if you have this in play, not only is your team going to be huge, but you can also just remove their key attackers and blockers, and then just crush in with your team and hopefully end the game. So that second ability, the ability to control the board like that, is very, very powerful.
yes.
So if there is a human deck, like, this is going to be a huge, huge part of it.
Nice.
Awesome. Anything else to say on this one?
No, man.
No, it's just a nice, powerful card.
For sure. All right, Mike, what's your number 10?
My number 10, Blitz of the Thunder Raptor.
Thunder.
Yeah, so it's 1 red, 1 colorless for an instant. It deals damage equal to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of instant or sorcery spells in your graveyard. Because Artisan you still have planeswalkers, I feel that this card is a correct answer. Just because like it supplements well with Scorching Dragonfire. Just because like let's just say not all the planeswalkers have minus abilities. So like
Only 4-drop Chandra has a plus ability
okay.
at uncommon.
So like this can go over the top compared to Scorching Dragonfire. So yeah, and it exiles too. So like they can't bring it back. That's
Yeah,
what I thought
and
about.
sometimes this card, like in the mid to late game, this is going to be taking down like 6-7 toughness things.
Oh, yeah.
So, this thing can scale huge. My only hesitation about this card, like this is a very powerful card, but my only hesitation is that it very often on turn 2 it's not going to kill what you want it to kill.
Yeah.
And oftentimes that's the most important time to have your removal spell. So I don't think you want to be maxing out on this card. But I do think like having a couple copies in a spells deck is going to be very powerful.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna replace the Is It one?
Rouse Outburst.
I forget what it's called.
Rouse Outburst. Rouse Outburst.
No. The one where it deals X equal to the instant and sorceries in your grave or exile.
And that's the one.
Oh, Beacon Bolt?
Beacon Bolt.
Beacon
yeah.
Bolt.
Well, Beacon Bolt doesn't hit Planeswalkers, but the fact that it has Jumpstart like
Yeah.
allows you to take over the mid game. So they are similar cards, but I do think that they fill different niches. Like
Right.
this hitting Planeswalkers, I think, is a big plus to this card.
It's cheaper in instant too.
Yeah. The way that control decks have to be built now, because threats are so diversified, like you can't just go like, oh, I'm just gonna play 4 of my best removal spell. You kind of need to be like, okay, I'm gonna play like 1 of this and 2 of this, and maybe 3 of this one if it's really good.
Right.
Very rarely do the control decks want to have like 4, just jam 4 of all the removal spells. You need to have different answers, because there's so many different ways that the proactive decks can pressure you.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah, but definitely. Okay, so that's Mike's 10. My number 10 is Bastion of Remembrance. So, it is 1 black, 2 colorless enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token, and then whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
I see you like Zulaport Cutthroat.
Oh yeah. I played Aristocrats back when it was Blood Artist.
No, Innistrad one. Yep.
Yeah. So like anyway, that's completely off topic, but this card is very, very powerful. The only reason it's so low on my list is because I don't know if there is currently a good go-wide deck that this slots into. But if there is a good go-wide deck, or like a red-black sack deck of some sort, like with Mayhem Devil and the Claim the Firstborn and Active Treason with a bunch of sack outlets, then this card is going to be very powerful, and it'll regularly, if you play it on turn 3, and you're like playing a grindy interactive matchup, you're going to be like getting 5 to 10 triggers off of this over the course of the game, and that's a big swing. So it might go in a black-white deck, it might go in a black-red deck. Whatever deck you put it in, you're going to want to have a bunch of like token generators, a bunch of cheap creatures that you're comfortable with just like throwing under the bus. But if you put this in the correct deck, it is going to be very, very powerful.
So I'll tell you what, this is actually my number 9 too, but I just remembered of a couple cards that make this good. So like, just like Sanctuary Lockdown, it's also good in this, but we got Raise the Alarm right now too, right?
Yeah, Raise the Alarm does not make humans though, so I don't know if you would put that in this.
Oh no, it makes soldiers, that's right.
Yeah.
But it would be good with Bastion of Remembrance, just keep chump blocking.
And Forbidden Friendship goes very well with this too. That's one red, 1 colorless sorcery, make a 1/1 haste dinosaur and a 1/1 human.
Yep, that's right.
So there's like synergy cards with this, but like the cards that we're listing off are a lot of commons, and I just don't know if they're going to compete with the power level of Artisan. Like we only had a small handful of Artisan tournaments to kind of see where the metagame is at, and I don't know if like a deck like this is going to measure up. But I think it has potential. I think it's worth exploring.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so that was my 10, and Eric said it was his 9. So what's your 9, Mike?
My 9 was Sanctuary Lockdown, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're all lining up pretty similar here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was just looking at it. Yeah, it's a pretty like I was just thinking like red Boros humans aggro, and yeah, that card just like just more anthem effects. It will allow the Boros aggro deck to actually be good. I don't know. I really like that card.
You'll have to draft up a list to see what humans are out there. Take it for a spin in the next Artisan event.
Yes.
Oh, I'm searching it up right now.
Wants to challenge Mike in our Discord.
Actually,
Mike will have his red-white humans deck ready.
Actually, yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's a good amount.
Yeah.
So
okay. So that was your 9. My 9 is Reconnaissance Mission. So it is 2 blue, 2 colorless for an enchantment, and it says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card, and it has cycling 2. So if you are ahead on board and you just drop this with like 3 flying creatures in play or 2 flying creatures in play, like you're just never going to run out of gas. And then if you're behind on board and you don't want to spend 4 mana on an enchantment that's not going to impact the board right away, you just cycle it away. So like it's amazing when you're ahead and it's passable when you're behind. And so like if there is a blue tempo deck, this is going to be a key player in it. Like we didn't see very many blue tempo decks so far in the format, but I'm sure that one, if it didn't already exist, it was like just on the cusp of being good enough, and this might push it over the edge.
So when I practice with the kids, my favorite deck to practice with them is my blue-white tempo deck.
Oh, nice.
And it is very, very hard for...
Is it more flyer focused?
No,
with the eagle? Or
well, a lot of them are flyers, but there's no eagle.
Okay.
It's more of a flash deck, but
Got it.
oh, this card is so good.
Yeah.
Just keep drawing and drawing.
Awesome. Do you have it on your top 10?
It's the next one along with my other card, my package.
Oh, okay.
Oh, everybody packaged
Well,
it.
then take it away.
Okay, so I have a package, but the main one is Cunning Night Bonder.
Oh, is that the hybrid card?
It's the hybrid flash one.
Okay.
So the way that I run my mono blue deck is through flash because I think that Brineborn Cutthroat is such a great card. And what it is it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid black-blue creature. So it has flash. It's a 2/2 and spells with flash that you cast they cost one less and it can't be countered. So we've been seeing a lot of control decks. So this is just a silver bullet for a lot of the control decks, kind of. And it makes all of your things cheaper, so you can cast more things during your opponent's turn.
How many flash cards are there that actually have colorless costs in them? Like Brineborn Cutthroat, I know. What else
Brineborn Cutthroat, Fairy Vandal, or
Yeah, Fairy Vandal.
Fairy Vandal.
Okay, yeah, Fairy Vandal.
There's that 3-drop surveil creature.
Trying to think what else.
There's that 3-drop that has
Yeah.
from
Oh, the 3 mana 3/2 flash?
yeah.
Mhm.
Are you playing
Surveil.
that?
No, I'm not running it in mine, but
Okay.
now with this, I might actually do that.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't thought about this card in context of Pioneer, but in Standard, it seems like it's pretty underpowered for real Standard, and then like the reduction cost doesn't come into effect very often because that deck is trying to play like Slither, whatever it's called, the new gold card.
Slither Wisp.
So, yeah, I feel like you need to have a lot of cards that get the cost reduction in order to want to play a 2 mana 2/2.
So you have Omen of the Seas, you have Fairy Vandal. If you want to run Duelist, there's Duelist. There's Pouncing Shore Shark. That's fun.
Oh.
Thernody Singer, the 1/3, the 1/3.
Yeah. Okay, you're selling me. I like it.
Isn't there like a?
But there's two other cards. Search Up Keep Safe.
Is it in this set?
I think this is like my favorite counter spell.
Okay, so this is all this and
It's this package.
Reconnaissance Mission and Keep Safe. This is like your mono tempo package. That's your number 8. Okay.
And then I have one more card, but this is a counter spell that costs 1 in a blue. Like we were saying, 1 in a blue counter spells or 2 mana counter spells are really good. So if they try to target your things, if it targets a non-land permanent, you can. Wrong card. If it targets a permanent you control, you can counter it and draw a card. So it feels like a really old card called Remand, but instead of putting it back into your hand, it just counters the spell outright. And that's just super powerful.
It is very conditional, but
With what you're trying to do in your deck, I think that the card's good.
Yeah. Like you just want to keep your Brineborn Cutthroat alive, right?
And then there's Gust of Wind. That's another common. Gust of Wind is a 4 mana spell. It's 3 in a blue, and it costs 2 less if you control a creature with
It's
flying.
right there in the bottom right, Mike. Oh, there it is.
It costs 2 less if you control a creature with flying, and you return a creature you don't control to its owner's hand, and you draw a card. So this is kind of like what's that spell in Dominaria with Kicker?
Blink of an Eye.
Oh, Blink of an Eye?
Yeah, it's like Blink of an Eye, but it costs 2 less, and you don't need to pay the Kicker. Most of the time.
It's also a sorcery, so you can't bounce your own stuff for value.
Yeah, that's true, but if you're trying to run a tempo game, gotta take what you got. But I think it's a decent card.
Did either of you play the Pokemon TCG?
Yep.
Yo, always.
Yes, I know what
Dude,
you're talking
I played
about.
till-
every time I read this card, I just think of Pokemon.
Super
like,
Scoop Up?
Gust of Wind was just broken in Pokemon TCG, but that's
Oh,
a
yeah,
story
yeah.
for another
You
day.
just switch the active Pokemon to one on your bench.
Yeah, so you just snipe their like weakest guy, and
Yep. There is a card like this in Pokemon called Super Scoop Up. Except you have to flip a coin for it to work.
Oh gosh, coin flips are my nightmare. That's why I quit that game.
Yep.
Okay, so blue tempo strategies. That is Eric's number 8. So what is your 8, Mike?
Humble Naturalist.
Is that the mono?
That's the door.
Yeah.
Right?
One colorless, one green for a 1/3. Add one mono of any color. Use this for a creature spell. I know we have Paradise Druid. But I just feel like with this, I mean, it just goes well with it because if you want to ramp into bigger creatures, you have that opportunity to. Yeah, I don't know. When I first saw it, like, oh man, more Monodorks. We need that. And then and it's a 1/3, so it will survive a lot of things. So like it won't die to like a shock or something. So like, yeah, I don't know. It's something about this card. I really enjoy this card. Plus the artwork is cool.
Okay. I'm not terribly convinced. I think that there are better options, but I do agree that monodorks are almost always powerful enough to be considered.
Yeah.
But,
If you're trying to do a ramp thing, then I can see Humble Naturalist, like a big ramp creature deck.
I mean, especially with all
Yeah,
like the mutate
the
stuff.
restriction on your mana is a knock against it, in my opinion, and then the fact that Sylvan or Elysian Caryatid and Leafkin Druid both
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
both give you like bonuses later in the game. Makes me think that I'd rather play either of those before this guy. But I mean, Leafkin Druid is leaving soon, so
What's
and Paradise Druid is leaving soon too. So maybe this
Is that a
guy will get
porcupine
his
parrot?
day and it's done.
Porky Parrot?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a Porcupine.
Okay, we're getting off subject here. Okay, that's your number 8, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, my number 8 is also a human, and it is also a green card, but it is also a red card.
Oh,
It
I
is
know.
Proud
Oh.
Wild Bonder.
God, this
Say
card.
that again?
Oh my gosh. Proud Wild Bonder. It's
Are you
the-
saying just run all of the green-red trample guys and win the game?
Yeah, so it is 2 colorless and then hybrid, where hybrid can be either a red or a green mana. And it is a 4/3 human warrior creature with trample, and it says creatures you control with trample you may have this creature assign its combat damage as though it weren't blocked.
So is this a keyword now? Can we just off topic? Is this a keyword? Because on Arena it says this is called unstoppable.
If you want to call it unstoppable, you can, I guess.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was getting confused. Sorry.
I think Mark Rosewater came out and saying something similar, but it just doesn't say it on the card, which
Yeah.
confuses me. But anyway, like, if I feel like the mono green deck already was playing a bunch of stuff with trample, and like if it wasn't already, there's still like enough stuff with trample out there that is comparable in power level at certain slots that you can just play them instead. And then
There's
you
a-
basically just like play this guy on turn 4, and then if they're not dead that turn, then they might just be dead on turn 5.
I mean, Mike, last time one of your top 10 was Warden of the Chain.
Oh, that's right.
So you can do turn 3 Warden of the Chain, turn 4 this guy and attack with that guy, or attack with Warden.
Yeah, this guy does have keyword big.
Yep.
Does Warden of the Chain have trample?
Yes, he
Oh
does.
my gosh. Okay, yeah, so the pieces for the red green deck were already there, and I feel like this just is a slam dunk. You want 3, if not 4 of these. No, it's not legendary, so you just want 4.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is just an auto include in the green red aggro deck.
Yep.
It could even just be mono green, but I think Warden of the Chain is
Yeah.
worth playing the 2 colors for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was my number 8.
Wait, who's turn?
What you got, Mike?
Oh, my turn.
Eric, do you have your
Oh.
seven?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Hmm?
Do you have
Oh,
your
it's my
seven,
turn?
Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so My number 7 is a little sketchy. I used to have it in my honorable mentions, but I think it possibly has potential, and that's Zenith Flare.
Ooh.
So the reason why it says it has potential is because well, let me tell you what it does. Zenith Flare cost X red white, I think. No, 2 red white.
Yeah.
So 2 red white, and it'll deal X to any target, where X is equal to the amount of cycle cards in your graveyard.
God.
And
So
you gain X life.
yeah, and you gain X life. So there's a couple of words that I like in here. I like the word any. I like the letter X. I don't like the word cycle though, and the reason why I don't like the word cycle is because searching it up, there's not a lot of good cycle cards, or a lot of cycle cards. That's the main problem with this card.
It is
But-
pretty much, if you play this card, you're playing like mono Ikoria.
Yeah, pretty much. But the good thing is you have a lot of the pieces, like Cathartic Reunion, I think is a good card. Just, you can dump some of the cycle cards in, draw 3. You have some other payoffs, like Savai Thundermare, or Thunder, I forget what his name is. But
Thunder Mane.
whenever, Thunder Mane. But whenever you deal, or whenever you cycle, you can pay 2 to deal 2 to a creature and you gain 2. And there's other things like Hero of Precinct 2, I forget what his name is, but it's the one where
Valiant
whenever you, Valiant Rescuer. Whenever you cycle, you get a 1/1. So there's lots of good payoffs, but I'm not sure if those payoffs are really worth it just to try and win with Zenith Flare. But I still think Zenith Flare is a really, really good card.
I agree. I'm much higher on this than you are. This is much higher
Okay.
on my list, and I'll talk a little bit more about it then.
Yeah, I really like the card. It's just, I don't know. I'm not really sure because cycling might be hard, it might be easy, it just depends.
Okay.
Nice. I like it.
So that was your 7. Mike, what's your 7?
7 was Cunning Night Bonder.
Which one is that?
It's the
I
flash
don't know.
feature.
Oh.
The Flash one. Okay, you guys are really high on the Flash deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said before, I think this guy has potential. I think that you need to do some work in your deck building to make it more than just an Ashcoat Bear, a 2-mana 2/2 Flash.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like this can go.
If you're not using that second ability, this card is really underwhelming.
At worst, it's a bear, and that's not good at all.
Not good for Pioneer.
Pioneer?
Not Pioneer. What format are we
Artisan.
playing?
Artisan.
Yeah. Okay. My number 7 is a 2-parter. It is Titanith Rex and Void Vector. Okay, and the reason that this is a pair is because I think that these both play very nicely with the many reanimate spells that we have in the form.
Okay, so wait.
So
Yep.
Titanith Rex is 7 colorless green, so 9 total mana for an 11/11 dinosaur beast with trample. And it also has cycling for a green and a colorless, and whenever you cycle it, you may put a trample counter on target creature you control. So like, and then Void Beckoner is black 6, so 8 mana total for an 8/8 Death Touch. I think it's a nightmare. And then it has Death Touch, and you can cycle it for a black and 2 colorless, and put a Death Touch counter on something.
Yeah, no,
So
he's
both of these
powerful.
things, like, usually the awkward part about Reanimator decks is that you need to have, like, a piece that lets you discard your big fat creature to get it in the graveyard so that you can target it with your Reanimate spell. These big fat creatures automatically go to the graveyard with the cycling ability. So, like, you know, you just find a spot in the game where you're not using your mana, you cycle this, draw a card, and then come turn 4 or 5, you just play your Blood for Bones or Bond of Revival or whatever the new one is that gives it lifelink.
Wait, so it was this, and what was the other card?
Void Beckoner.
Oh, yes. Sorry, if you're looking at, if you see the Godzilla card, so one thing, the reason why Ikoria has some sort of a collaboration with
Toho.
so like the cards, the actual cards may look different, but yeah, This is
Yeah,
just the
the
alternate
card
art.
styles are there to call back to Godzilla.
Yeah, let's not talk about the Void Beckoner one. I'm really sad about that one.
Okay.
For reasons I can't say because we can't say the C word.
Oh,
But anyway, like there are enough good reanimate spells in the or like not good, but there's enough like decent reanimate spells in the format that I think having these two payoffs that just automatically go to your graveyard means that we might have a deck, right? Paying 5 mana for an 11/11 haste trample, or paying 5 mana for an 11/11 trample lifelink, like both of those are very good. It's just a matter of do you also like what else do you have in the deck to support it?
I mean, heck, with Blood for Bones, you can just cycle it out after you put it in your hand too, and then just keep going.
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of potential here. What else is going to go in the deck besides these like 16 cards? Like you play these 8 and then like 8 reanimate spells and then whatever else is in the deck, I don't know. But this seems powerful enough that I think it deserves a spot on the list.
Yeah. There's even the slightly worse ones like Greater Sandworm and all that stuff, which is still good. Yeah.
Although I think having 8 guarantees, or not guarantees, but having 8 gives you a very good chance of having at least 1 in the graveyard by turn 5.
What about Dragon Mage though?
That it seems like a slightly different deck. Since
I'm just playing with you.
I want to play Underworld Dreams, but I do love your Dragon Mage deck.
I'm just playing with you.
I appreciate it.
nice.
Okay, so that was my 7. Eric, what's your 6?
So I know how much you, when we were still doing Pauper Standard, how much you wanted to have a Tempo Black deck, and I think this is a shout out to you. So the card is Grim Dancer.
Oh man.
So while he searches it up, Grim Dancer is a 1 black 3/3, and when he enters the battlefield, he enters with one of 3 counters. He enters with either a menace counter, a lifelink counter, or death touch counter.
No, you get 2 of the counters.
Yeah, you get 2. So this reminds me of a really good card I used to play called Vampire Nighthawk. Was that his name?
Yep.
Yep. And he's kind of the same, except he's a 2/3, but he has flying, lifelink, and death touch. The stats on here are crazy. Just having a 3/3 for 3 is good, but having, especially your choice of any of those 3 keywords, super powerful.
Nice.
With racing is important, you give it lifelink. If
Yep.
killing a big creature is important, you give it death touch.
Yep, if you have to kill the Titanic Rex, you give it death touch and lifelink. If you have to push through, you give it menace and lifelink. It's like
Or
9 creatures in
means that you killed both of the creatures that are
yeah. It's like 9 creatures in 1, or I'm not really sure the amount of choices you get.
I think lifelink is just an auto include in whatever, and you choose whatever counter you want. Life.
The most common mode I've used on this in limited so far has been Death Touch Menace, just because it means that you're probably going to get a 2-for-1 if you're on offense.
Yeah, it's just really bad blocks.
Yeah. But yeah, if this is in an aggressive shell, this is very powerful.
This man is
I don't know
value.
if- I don't know if like the mid-range decks are going to be interested in this. I mean, like Death Touch Lifelink is pretty good on a blocker. But I think if you're not pressuring your opponent, then this card is not at its best.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome card. So that was your 6. Mike, what's your 6?
Same.
Man, did you guys do your homework together?
No, I saw it. Like
No.
You know when I was looking at this, I was looking at the mono. I was looking at the Jansen's mono black devotion deck. This is just a pretty sweet.
Oh yeah, devotion.
Mono black deck.
Yeah.
This feeds Gary.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
This feeds Gary.
What was in the 3-drop slot in the devotion deck before?
I don't think there was any 3-drop.
Timurit.
Really?
Timurit.
No, Timurit's a 2-drop.
3-drop. Ooh, I don't know. I would have to.
No,
look
we
up
can
the-
check the website.
But yeah, this. This
Yeah,
just.
I mean, whatever it is, if it's not very memorable, then this is probably better.
Yeah, I don't think there was a good 3-drop.
Well, now we have one. Sweet. I didn't even think about the Black Devotion deck, but
Yeah, no, me neither.
Because
how
then
quickly
like
we forget about barrels.
yeah, I mean the most like there's so much words on this, and the fact that it feeds into Gary late game, it just
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of value. So like, I wouldn't be surprised, like if Jansen goes back to playing mono black, or anyone decides to play mono black devotion. This is automatic inside 4 copies.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
So like, when I saw that, actually I was looking at this higher. I was looking at this. It was somewhere higher on my list, but I was like, oh man, you know what? There's some cards I really enjoy that beat this out. So
There are no 3-drops.
so
Wow. Okay, so it's
Murder.
Wow.
Murder. But that doesn't even count.
murder doesn't feed
Okay.
Gary.
Yeah. There are no 3-drops.
Okay. I've got a package for my number 6.
All right, let's do it.
It's 2 cards. They're both blue-red.
Oh, hello.
One is Sprite Dragon, which is a blue and a red for a 1/1 flying haste fairy dragon. And it says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Sprite Dragon.
Alright, Dora.
Yeah, that is the Godzilla alternate art, which is super cute. But this card, if you play it on turn 2, you get in for 1 damage that turn, and then it's just going to grow over the course of the game as you play, your cheap spells like, the spot removal, the cantrips, the card draw. It just grows this guy. Drawing him late is less good, but the fact that it has haste means that you can still like get in and then maybe cast another spell. So he might be like a 2 or a 3 by the time you're attacking with it in the late game. But this guy is importantly a non-human, which means that it goes very well with the other
my
card
God.
that's in this package, or Dracus. It is a 1 colorless, 1 blue, 1 red lizard beast. It's a 2/3. And it has mutate for hybrid, which is blue-red. So you can cast it for either, the mutate cost can be either blue, red, or blue-red. And it says whenever this creature mutates, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So I think this is the first mutate card that we're covering. So mutate is a new ability, and you can choose to play the creature for either its regular cost, and it just enters the battlefield, or for its mutate cost, and in which case, usually the mutate cost is cheaper, not always. But if you pay the mutate cost, then you put this either on top or on bottom of a non-human creature that's already in play. And then it becomes a new creature that has the power and toughness of the card that's on top, as well as the text of all the cards in the stack. So, if you mutate this onto Sprite Dragons, all of a sudden you have a 2/3 that gets back a spell from your graveyard and still grows every time you play a spell. You can also mutate this onto like Crackling Drake, which is not a human. And then, you can keep Crackling Drake as an 0/4. It'll still have the ability of its power is equal to the number of instant sorceries in your graveyard, but then you get to pick up your best instant sorcery. So paying 2 mana to get back your best spell from your graveyard is very good.
Oh, yeah.
This is rather conditional, though, because you need to have a non-human creature in play, and usually, like, these spell decks don't have a ton of creatures. But I think between Sprite Dragons, Crackling Drake, and then Improbable Alliance making fairies, then this is going to have enough targets that you're just going to want to jam 3 or 4 of them into any spell stack.
It'd be cool if you mutate a fairy token.
Yeah, I'm like, now I have a 2/3 flyer, and I get back my best spell in my graveyard.
I mean, heck, if you want to do it too, you could put this in a blitz stuff. Both Fairy Dragon and this. You just add a wee Dragonaut as well, and have fun with that.
Oh,
think
yeah,
there's a-
we Dragonaut is legal, yeah.
And there's a double strike card too. You can do double strike and win with that. I think it's a cycle 2 mana double strike. It's an instant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It costs 2, and target creature gets double strike.
Wait,
There's lots of things you can do with Is It Now. It's fun.
I always imagine putting this
Yeah,
on top
so-
of Crackling Drake. No, probably
For
not.
sure.
Maybe.
Gets the 2 extra power. That'd be fun.
I don't think that it works because Crackling Drake's ability says its power is equal to the.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't add it to the 0.
Okay, probably not then.
But I still think putting this on Crackling Drake is sweet because you just get to pick up your best spell and cast it again, and then you're hitting them with a giant Crackling Drake.
Mm-hmm.
So I think these two cards go together. Of note, if you really wanted to put this card in a mono blue deck or a mono red deck, as long as you have enough non-human targets to mutate onto, you can play it in your deck, assuming that you're only going to pay the blue or the red for the mutate cost, and it'll still be great. Yeah. So that was my 6.
Oh my god, you could put that on, what's that called? The Hexproof Death Touch Flying guy. The black, blue.
Oh, Night Veil Predator?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could play it in blue-black.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Although that deck doesn't play enough other creatures that I would want to.
That's true. Well, once you have Night Veil Predator down, you just play that and then you just pick up a card. Pick up one of your instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
Just for the extra feel bads.
The rub-ins.
Yes.
Alright, Eric, what's your 5?
Okay, so my number 5 is a black card. It is called Call of the Death Dweller. And Call of the Death Dweller, it is, I think, 2 and a black, right? Yep, 2 and a black. It's a sorcery, and you return up to 2 target creature cards with total converted mana cost 3 or less. So you could choose between a 2-drop and a 1-drop, 2 1-drops, or a 3-drop. As long as the total is equal to 2 CMC or less. And when it enters a battlefield, you can have it enter with a Death Touch counter on either of them, or a Menace counter. So you could put 2 Menace counter, or you could put a Menace counter and the Death Touch counter on one. You could split it up. So you have all of those options. So.
Alright, Eric, I have a question for you. How many times did you have to read this card before you understood what it did?
Wow.
This isn't the what's called? Maybe like 3 times.
I will admit that it was probably like 4 or 5 for me. Like, this card is just so confusing.
The slime, you know, the rare slime, the green-black companion. That one took me like 10 times to read. I was so confused.
Yeah. Companion is a whole beast in and of
But
itself. I feel like this set, just overall, the complexity of the cards is very high.
yeah,
But this card in particular, like, it's the first time I read it, I thought you could bring back 2 creatures
With
that had
CMC.
3 CMC or less.
no, that is super Coco. We are not doing that.
And then like my understanding of the card kept changing each time I read it, and then yeah.
So
I mean, even the way that it is, it's still very good.
yeah. So what you can do, there's lots of things you can do. I'm thinking of this in an aristocrat's way. One thing you could do is you could put your low CMC creatures onto the battlefield and give them counters. That's pretty good. Another thing you can do is give it to Mayhem, put Mayhem Devil on there, and now he just pings stuff whenever you sacrifice.
Mayhem Devil with Death Touch.
Yep.
That's the
He now has Death Touch, and now he is just killing things for 1 damage.
Yep.
But this card's very modal, and that's why I like it. There's lots of options you can choose.
Yeah. If Cat wasn't banned in Artisan, then I think that this
This would ban it. This is too strong.
I
If
don't know if
Cat was banned.
maybe. Like, I mean, Cat should definitely be banned in the format, but like
Yeah.
then the red black deck would definitely exist. Right now, I don't know if the red black deck exists. I think
Yeah.
this is a really strong incentive to play a Mayhem Devil deck. Without Cat, like you're, I think you need to lean more on like the threaten sack your guy side of the red black deck, which Mayhem Devil is still fine in, but just not amazing.
Well, now we have Bastion of Remembrance. We still have Oven,
Yeah.
and now we can bring back stuff too.
Yeah, Oven is still legal. So
I mean, there's still.
yeah, I think this is going to be like a 1 or a 2 of in real standard aristocrats. So
yeah,
I would not
it
be
is.
surprised if it sees play in Pioneer or Artisan.
It is. It's crazy.
It's crazy in standard.
Yeah.
I tell you that much. Woo. Yep.
All right, so that was your 5. Mike, how about you? What's your 5?
Skull Prophet. Oh, I like that card.
Okay. Have you been playing that green-black undergrowth deck?
Yes. So spoilers, Julian did beat. Yeah, I got murdered against Julian because he was playing mono red, and I wanted to play the green-black deck anyways. This is just a good piece. This is just a good add-on to the deck, just because one, it adds mana of the colors anyways, and it puts cards into your graveyard. So.
And it's a 3/1 dork.
Better than Glow Sport Shaman. Glow Sport Shaman was just like embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can
attack with this.
You could still like. I mean, I wouldn't. You could probably put both, but because they both fill the graveyard. But definitely because I think Glow Sport Shaman, you get to get a card back. I think it was like a land.
It's a land. Yeah.
But
you don't get it back. It goes to the top of the deck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's right. And then like yeah, I feel like the Golgari Undergrowth deck. I feel that to me that's a fun deck to play. Like, the deck just got something cool with Skull Prophet, and
yeah, that deck is really fun. My seniors, I have like 3 seniors who before school shut down were playing Magic after school in my room. They didn't want to come to any tournaments, but I was just giving them standard Artisan decks to play against each other, and one of them was just like, I want to play nothing but green-black. This is amazing.
Yeah, and
you
like
just love that undergrowth deck.
And the fact that you can, if you're milling your deck. I mean, if you mill like Creeping Chill, that's pretty awesome.
Oh, I wasn't playing Creeping Chill in my build. I was just like all in on Golgari Raiders and Boulder Hulks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a 3/1. This is a 3/1 for 2 with an upside. This is good.
Yeah, I like this card.
But
Okay, so that was your 5, right?
Yes.
So it's my 5 now. Okay, my 5 is a package. My 5 is a Polywog Symbiote and Trumpeting Gnar.
Like,
so
what's his name?
Symbiote.
Baby Godzilla.
Yeah, Baby Godzilla. It's a 1 blue, 1 colorless. For a 1/3 frog. It says each creature spell you cast costs 1 less if it has mutate. So that means that the mutate costs 1 less, as well as just casting the card as regular. And then whenever you cast a creature spell, if it has mutate, draw a card, then discard a card. So that trigger will happen if you mutate, or if you just cast a card that has mutate for its regular cost.
wow.
I think that I'm unsure if mutate is going to be a deck in Artisan, just because like it is tempo negative. It does open you up to spot removal. So like I don't know if it's going to be able to compete with other things, but like man, are the tools there for you to make a sweet mutate deck.
Yep.
And the mutate decks, I think so far in limited, from what I've seen, like they're top tier. If you get like the good uncommon mutate payoffs, then you just have like this amazing draft deck. So that makes me think that it has potential in Artisan. I'm not sure, but I think that if it is a deck, then it's going to be off the back of Baby Godzilla just enabling them to like ramp out their mutate dudes. And then the other card that goes in this package is Trumpeting Gnar, which is a 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 blue, 3/3 beast. And it has a mutate cost of 3 colorless hybrid, where hybrid is blue-green. So you can cast it for 3 and green-green, or 3 and blue-blue, or 3 blue-green. And then whenever this creature mutates, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. So if you mutate this onto something, it comes in with a token. If you mutate something onto this, it comes in with a token. And then if you get absurd shenanigans and you start like multi-stacking your mutators on top of each other, then you get like 2 tokens the second time, 3 tokens the third time. And just the fact that this guy is cheap and has a really, really powerful mutate trigger that adds to the board, I think is going to, like, this guy is going to be the backbone of whatever mutate deck exists, if one does exist.
So let's just clarify. With the symbiote, when you cast that, can you cast Parcel Beast for 2 mana? Is it only for the mutate cost? Does the 1 less cost for the mutate cost, or is that just creatures with mutate?
Yeah, let's bring up Parcel Beast because it might as well be in this package as well.
Sorry, not
so
Parcel. Sorry, that's my number 4. I was, but
Oh, okay.
I thought his Gnar.
Yes, you can cast it for 2 mana. Polywog Symbiote reduces the mutate cost as well as the normal casting cost.
Mhm.
But yeah, Parcel Beast would also go in this package. Spoilers, sorry, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, that's my fault. I thought his name was Parcel Beast.
Yeah, so Parcel Beast is 4 mana, 2/4 Elemental Beast, mutates for a blue and a green, and then you can pay 1 mana and tap it to look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield. If you don't put that card onto the battlefield, put it into your hand. So it's a cheap mutate, you get multiple mutate triggers, and then, yeah, it's a Risen Reef that you can do every turn. It's very good. But yeah, so the Baby Godzilla says each creature spell you cast costs 1 less if it has mutated. It doesn't say if you're mutating it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, if you play this on 2, you're essentially reducing the cost of, like, all the creatures in your deck if this lives.
And that's, yeah. I guess it's just trying to figure out which ones would be worth it or not.
Yeah, I think that the Parcel Beast being such a cheap mutate, and then Trumpeting Gnar being such a powerful mutate trigger, and the fact that the front end of Trumpeting Gnar is so cheap, I think that those 3 are going to be the backbone of whatever mutate deck exists. And then, like, if you want to splash around for, like, Chittering Nightmare or, you know, whatever other payoffs, I think that the Elemental that taps stuff down, the Beast that, like, flips over cards until you hit a permanent, like, those are all fine.
You don't want to go big with Archipelagor?
Yeah, that's the Elemental. That
Yeah.
I didn't remember the name.
Nice.
Okay, so that was my 5.
So my 4 is Parcel Beast, and we might as well just talk a little bit about it. But
Yeah.
man, one of my favorite commanders, or one of the craziest I think commanders, is Thrasios, where you reveal the top of your card, and if it's a land, you put it in tap. Otherwise, you draw a card. That's kind of like this. So not only with the mutate deck, I think this would also be very good since it's an elemental in the elementals deck, just as an extra Risen Reef.
You can curve Risen Reef into this, and it's very sweet.
I mean, heck, you can curve a 1-drop into this if you want to,
But you know when you mutate,
because you can mutate it.
if you mutate a Risen Reef, if you mutate, you still get the trigger off the Risen Reef.
No.
No, because it's not entering the battlefield.
Oh, okay. That'd be dope.
Yeah, it just attaches to it.
Oh, okay. So if you just hard cast, then you get the Risen Reef trigger.
You know what? While we're with mutate too, fun fact: it's not like an enchantment where if you bounce a creature with mutate, only the first creature comes up. All of the creatures go to your hand.
Yeah.
So just be careful if you try to use a bounce spell on that thing, because you're gonna pay for it.
I think that if there is a mutate deck, they might sideboard Unsummon to protect themselves
to protect it?
removal. Like they
Yeah.
lose a bunch of tempo, but they just like pick up 2 or 3 cards.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. No, I can see that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Parcel
just
Beast is like it just gives you advantage every turn. You're essentially drawing a card, and if it's a land, then it goes straight into play.
yeah.
Every turn, it's very powerful. It's slow, but it's powerful.
hmm Especially if you're trying to do big things too, you can just do that with Parcel Beast.
Okay, so that was Eric's 4. Mike, is your 4 also Parcel
No,
Beast? Did you and Eric
I-
copy each other's homework?
I chose Heartless Act. Heartless Act and Dire Tactics actually. So Heartless Act is 1 black, 1 colorless for an instant. You can choose one or the other. Destroy a target creature with no counters on it, and remove up to 3 counters from target creature. Yeah, wow. I love this. The fact that it's quick removal, and it kind of hits everything. Because I know previously we had Drag to the Underworld, but then it gets smaller for each devotion to black. But I feel, I don't know. There's an argument for this could be better, just because one. Well, I mean, if you're going to,
this is hands down.
No, this
Yeah.
is good.
because one, it's splashable too. You can splash this in a deck. Or you can just
Yeah.
strictly replace it for drag through the underworld. And like if there's relevant,
You remember what I was saying earlier about how removal has to like you don't ever really want to play 4 of any one removal because you have so many different threats that you need to answer.
it doesn't apply to this.
I don't think that it applies to this card. Like this card is just so cheap and it hits almost everything. The stuff that it doesn't hit, like in a pinch, you can just nerf it
Yeah.
with the second ability. So yeah, I am so happy that they printed this card. I think that this card is going to be better than Cast Down was in standard
yeah.
when Cast Down was legal.
Wow.
Cast Down was great.
I mean,
Yeah.
I could just imagine what it would look like if Fatal Push was in the format in Artisan.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about such things. We don't need $7 uncommons in our format.
Hey, we
No, just one rare. It just costs one rare wild card.
It's a Narset. We got Narset.
Don't worry about it.
We got Narset. Anyways, there's
Okay,
Heartless
so
Act and Dire Tactics. Oh, is it Dire? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the exile. Exile if
So-
you have a human, you lose.
This is a Path to Exile with a condition, essentially. Like you gotta. I mean, and they don't get to search for a land. I mean, even then, like let's just say if you're not playing more likely you want to play in a humans deck so you don't lose life. But for the most part, yeah, you got a Path to Exile. You got a Path to Exile here in the format, essentially.
Yeah.
Nice.
If there is a black-white humans deck, this is going to be a 4-0.
This is automatic right here.
I think that even if you only have like 8 humans in your deck, you would still want to play like 2 to 4 of this card in your deck.
Yeah.
If you have 0 humans in your deck and you're black-white, I would still think about playing like 1 or 2 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just unconditional removal like this is at this price is so good.
So yeah.
And black-white is the color pair that's best at gaining incidental life too. So this card is very good. It is not on my list, but I agree with you that it's very powerful.
Liam, if you watch this, look for those cards when it comes out.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is your jam right here.
But yeah.
Okay. So that was your 4, right?
That was my 4.
Okay, so my 4 is Boon of the Wishgiver. I am a sucker for drawing cards, and like this card just does it so well. So Boon of the Wishgiver is 4 colorless and 2 blue, so 6 mana total for a sorcery. It says draw 4 cards, and then it has cycling 1. So first of all, if like you're playing a control deck or a mid-range deck, and you know the board is relatively even, or if you're ahead on board and you have an opportunity to just like tap out and draw 4 cards, like you're probably going to win that game. The problem with spells like this traditionally is that whenever you're behind, like spending your turn 6 or like most of your turn 7, 8, or 9 to like not impact the board like this, it's pretty bad when you're behind. But the fact that this has cycling 1 means that like if it's bad, you just cycle it away, and then you go find stuff that's going to catch you up on tempo. And yeah, I think that this is just like an auto 4 of in any control deck, and there's some like mid-rangey decks that would want to play this as well. This might even be a 4 of in the spells deck just because it's a cantrip that cycles for 1 mana.
Yep. And you can put it in the Zenith Flare deck too if you want.
Oh yeah. I got more to say about that Zenith Flare deck. But that's my number 4. I love drawing cards, and this card it's a split card that draws cards, and it's a great rate on both ends.
Yep.
Okay, so we're up to number 3. Eric,
Yeah.
what you got?
My number 3, so I think this would be good for a lot of the creature decks. It's actually a reprint, and it is Lead the Stampede.
Oh yeah, Lead the
Yep.
Stampede. This saw
So
modern
Lead the-
play at one point.
Yeah. Is it in Elves, maybe?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Who played it?
So Lead the Stampede is a 3-mana card, or 3-mana green spell, so it's 2 and a green for a sorcery, right? For a sorcery. And you look at the top 5 cards of your library, and you can choose any number of creature cards among them and put into your hand and put the rest on the bottom. Man, if you're playing a creature deck like green Stompy or anything green, and you just put all of maybe like 3 or 4 cards into your hand, and you just refuel back up, that is crazy. You're gonna win.
I think that the number of creatures you need to have in your deck to like hit 3 or more
32.
creatures a reasonable amount of the time is like 26 or something like that. I don't know.
But in a
I'm
Stompy
sure-
deck, you can
I'm sure
probably
that Frank
that's probably the
Carson has done
number.
the math on this.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think that our Stompy decks, at least the ones that we've seen so far, like they're not playing that many creatures. Like they have a bunch of support spells. Like they have the pump spells and they have the equipment, right?
True.
Well, the green-red one has lots of creatures. I know it runs like all of the big ones, and then they have a few spaces for like removal, and then like Furious Right for draws and all that stuff.
Yeah. I think that this card is at its best when you have a deck with a high creature count, and almost all of those creatures are like 1 or 2 mana, which is why they stopped playing elves in Modern.
Yeah.
Because like that deck was like 30 creatures, and all of them cost 1 or 2 mana, and then one of them cost 3 mana. So I don't know if there's going to be a deck that exists where this card is at its best, but even when it's not at its best, it's still really powerful. I think it's going to be a very good sideboard card for like the green aggro decks that you're talking about, Eric. Like, I don't think they want to main deck this card, but against like control decks or like decks where they know that the game is going to go long and they need to draw a bunch of cards, like this is going to hit 2 creatures often enough, and like if green could play a divination that said draw 2 creature spells, it would.
But yeah, the potential on this, crazy.
I can see this in an adventure.
But you also have the potential to whiff, so
like yeah, I can so see this in an like Celestial adventure deck or any of the adventure decks.
Oh yeah, those adventure decks get up to like 30
So-
plus creature spells sometimes. Yeah, that's a good home for it. I didn't think about that.
You draw that, and then like imagine just having resolved innkeepers. You not only do you get cards in your hand, you're gonna refill your card. You're gonna refill your hand as soon as you cast those creatures.
Ooh.
So
Yeah, those decks might want to main deck this because those decks are like 30 plus creatures. Good call, Mike.
Yeah.
I was looking at like, oh man, adventures.
Yeah. I don't have this anywhere on my list, so good call, Eric. Okay, so that was your 3. Mike, what's your 3?
Mine. Okay, so it's 2 commons, and I packaged them together. So
Okay.
it's Whisper Squad.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Whisper Squad. I mean, I love this card. Like, holy crap. Sorry, pardon my language, but 1 black, 1/1, human soldier, 2 mana to search a library for another card and put it to the battlefield. Tapped. Like the only cards I'll be
Another card named Whisper Squad.
Oh yeah, another copy, another card named Whisper Squad put it to the battlefield. Tap. I know like white, there's like battalion foot soldiers, you know, that allows you to tutor the rest of them, but this is just puts it in the battlefield. I mean, like, you turn 1, you attack, turn 2, you just kind of search another copy, and it just applies pressure like rather quickly. There's this and Serrated Scorpion.
Oh, you just want to play a black aggro deck.
Yeah, that too. So
I see someone's been playing the Aristocrats sack deck in Standard
Oh yeah.
with Luris. You can't play Luris in this deck. In Artisan though.
So, Serrated Scorpion is also one black for a 1/2 Scorpion. When it dies, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you gain 2 life. So, yeah, I mean those 2 put together, in, and we were talking about sacrifice decks. I know there are there's creatures in the format that allow you to sacrifice. I mean, there's a cost to it, but then I feel like late in the game, because like you want to do something with your mana. If these creatures resolve, you have that opportunity to use a sacrifice. Like there's what was that one Minotaur, the enchantment creature from Theros?
Well, yeah, that's the one that lets you draw a card, right?
Yeah, you sacrifice a creature, and there's also a human that allows that. There's also a human that.
Well, okay, so with the Minotaur one, I think the one from the Lazatep one is actually better because you gain a life from it too.
and it's a colorless activation,
So where's,
and it doesn't get hit by disenchants.
the
But yeah, the Whisper Squad is a 1/1 that searches out other 1/1s, so it's not super high impact. Like, it's not going to pressure anyone a lot. But the fact that they are free and you pull them out of your deck means that there's something. And then if you're playing these other synergy cards where you care about having random bodies in play, I think particularly Bastion of Remembrance, then this starts being like, okay, pay 2 mana and get a real card out of my deck. So in the right deck, this card can be very powerful. This
Mike,
might
if you
even
want
be
a good
playing real
sack-
standard.
If you want a good sack creature, search up Lampad of Death's Vigil.
Is that
Ooh, yeah.
what set is that from? Is that from?
It's a 2-man.
From Theros.
It's from Theros.
Oh, okay. I can probably.
It's a it's a 1/3 for 2. You sacrifice a creature and each opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. So if you have that with Bastion, it's lose 2, gain 2,
Dang.
and it only costs 1 mana.
I gotta look. Wait. From. I'll look it up after.
Then if it dies, you do Dark Dweller, and then you get your.
You'll have to record a separate deck tech for your red-black
Yes.
sweetness deck, Mike.
All right. But yeah, those are
Oh,
my.
be sure to hit that subscribe
Yeah.
button
Hit
to
the
see
subscribe
all of
button
our
so you
future
can see
content.
everything. Please do that.
Okay, so that was your number 3. My number 3 is just Heartless Act. It's great. Not much more to say about it.
Yep. So yeah.
Kill pretty much everything for 2 mana. It's great. Play this card. Put it in your black decks. Not much more to say. All right. So number 2. What's your number 2, Eric?
So mine is kind of a package. It's just basically all of the removal that they've given us.
Wow.
So like this Heartless Act. There's the other ones that we talked about, Dire Tactics.
Yeah.
They even gave green some removal through Charge of the Forever Beast and Ram Through.
Oh, Ram Through is like Rabid Blight on steroids.
Yeah, and it has Trample.
What was the card?
It is crazy.
What's any other card? Oh, Ram.
Ram Through?
Ram Through. Ram Through, it's a 2-mana spell. It's kind of like Rabid Bite, except if it has Trample, it deals excess damage to the player as well.
And it's an instant. Rabid
Yes.
Blight was a sorcery. And Rabid Blight was great.
No, this doesn't. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Wow. Woo.
Yeah.
We know.
And then, like, to try and help mono red aggro decks, there's also Flame Spill. Can you search up Flame Spill? Flame Spill is 2 and a red. It deals 4 to a creature, and it deals all of its excess damage to the player. So it's kind of like Ram Through, except you don't need a creature.
A burn spell.
Unglued? No,
Unhinged?
unhinged? No, the latest one.
Oh,
Unsanctioned? Yeah, it's an unsanctioned card. It's called Super Duper Death Ray, and it had the same text.
Nice.
But yeah, just all of these removal spells are a little crazy.
Yeah, the removal, like, I've had so many games in this limited format where, like, my hand is just all removal, and, like, my opponent's hand is, like, probably all removal, and we're
Yeah.
just like,
What are you gonna do?
here's my crappy creature, do you want to use the removal spell on it? No? Okay, I'm gonna peck at you then.
Yeah, it's just testing it. Testing the waters on all of the stuff.
Yeah, there's so much good removal in this limited format.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was your number 2, the removal package.
Nice. Okay.
Mike, what's your number
My number 2, is actually Parcel Beast.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah. I kind of put this pretty high, just because it, like, essentially you get free card. I mean, not essentially, not free, but yeah, you get card advantage and stuff, and it has a big booty. So like, I know there's a big booty deck running around in Artisan, and it just so happens to run
yeah.
these colors. So, like, you can mutate on Ox if you wanted to, ish, and then you get an ability out of it.
So you're just not doing nothing for a bit. You can actually
Yeah.
do stuff.
So you can do stuff, but
Yeah.
so like with this in a big butts deck, like if you haven't drawn into your High Alert or your Huatli, if you have this, it allows you to kind of look for it. If not, worst case scenario, it just ramps you. You know, either get you a card in your hand or you ramp.
Oh, honorable mention for the big butts deck. There is a 1 blue 0/5 that was.
Yeah, the turtle. Yep.
Yeah. So, Yoke Docs move over.
So, yeah, this was my number 2.
Okay, so my number 2 is this might be a hot take. Neither of you have mentioned this card yet. Ominous Seas is my number 2.
The Kraken boy.
Yeah, so Ominous Seas is a 1 blue 1 colorless enchantment. It says whenever you draw a card, put a foreshadow counter on it, and then you can remove 8 foreshadow counters from it to create an 8/8 blue Kraken creature token, and then it cycles for 2. So, this, if you are playing a cycling deck, if it's Jeskai, you should probably include this card. I don't know if the cycling deck wants to be Jeskai or just straight red-white, but you know, this goes very well in that. I think that this goes fine in any control deck. If you just play this on turn 2, you know, over the course of the game, you're probably going to make at least 2, if not 3 Kraken tokens. Every time you cycle a card, you get an extra counter. Every time you cast a draw spell, you get an extra counter. In
You do
control
Boon of the
deck,
Wishgiver twice.
oh yeah, I've had a couple of draft decks so far with this and Boon of the Wishgiver, where you're just like, zoop, play
It's
it,
nuts.
get my 8/8 into play. Yeah. So I think that this will slot into a couple of different strategies, and then you know it's just super powerful. 2 mana. It takes a long time, but 2 mana to like make multiple 8/8s. It gives you a fair amount of inevitability. And if you draw it late and you don't have card draw spells, you just pay 2 and cycle it away, so it's never bad.
Yeah, I agree with everything.
Yeah, this is my favorite card to play with in Limited, so that it had to be high on my list.
Yeah, it's just inevitability and a threat. I like it.
Yeah. So that was my number 2. Eric, what is your number 1?
The card where I think if you get it, pack one, pick one, you win. Boon of the Wishgiver. This card is so good. This card is so good.
It's never bad.
I love that you can use it early game and you can use it late game, and it's draw 4. That's just crazy. No, I just love this card. We already talked about
play,
it.
What it was one of the M sets. I think it was M12 that had opportunity in it, and that sealed and draft format was just so slow that opportunity was like a mythic rare level power level.
Yes. Yep.
That format was just so great. And I think that this format is slightly different because I think tempo matters a lot more in this format than in that format, just because of the way mutate like affects the way that your board works out. But there are a lot of... I've lost more games to Mana Flood than Mana Screw, or like, you know, not having enough... you know, I've lost more games to having no cards in my hand than having too many cards in my hand. So I agree with you that this card is amazing.
And
wow,
it can...
I didn't think that anyone was going to be higher on this card than me, so I am
No, I
impressed,
love this
Eric.
card.
I am impressed.
Well now.
Mike, you have one more card. Hopefully it's not that white one we talked about.
No, actually it's 3 cards put together.
Or is it...
And you guys touched on
Is your number 1 also Boon of the Wishgiver?
It's actually a package with 2 other cycle cards.
Okay.
This Ominous Seas and Neutralize. So Boon.
Ooh, Neutralize.
Boon.
Yeah, I think Jeskai Cycle might be the one that we do, right?
So like, the fact that they all carry cycle, it just so let me pull up Neutralize before I bring anything. Neutralize, excuse me. Counter target spell, draw 2 cards. Like if you don't need it, you can just cycle it off, and especially if you have a resolved Ominous Seas, you draw a card and you get a token. I mean, there's a draft. Well, actually, there was a sealed I played where, end step I had an Ominous Seas on 7 counters, and then I neutralized end step to get the 8th. came in with yeah. So,
Ooh.
and I can like I'm actually writing up so I feel like if anything, Improbable Alliance just gets good stuff. Because imagine drawing, like, you draw cards.
The
You
cycle cards do go very well with Improbable Alliance.
So I mean, of course, you need to cycle. Like the drawback is if you run into a Gnar set, you're kind of bricked. But the fact that if it fuels Improbable Alliance, it fuels Ominous Seas. Yeah, all three are actually, like, for me, I feel like all three of them. And at the same time, I've been loving blue in this set so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue gets lots of good stuff.
Black got a lot. I feel like blue and black got a lot of the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And just so happens to be Sean's colors. Oh yeah.
I have been playing a lot of standard decks with neutralizing them. I don't have it on my top 10 list just because I wasn't sure if the cycling deck was going to be Jeskai or red white. But my number one is the red white cycle package. So my number one is Zenith Flare, Valiant Rescuer, and Savi Thundermane. So we've already talked about Zenith Flare. That's the 4 mana, deal X damage and gain X life, where X is the number of cycle cards in your graveyard. And then Valiant Rescuer is 1 white, 1 colorless for a 3/1. Whenever you cycle your first card each turn, so you can do it once on your turn and once on your opponent's turn, you make a 1/1 human soldier. And then this also cycles for 2. And then the Thundermane is red white for a 3/2 lion, I think.
Yep.
Is that a?
It's a hybrid.
It would say cycling on the card. It would say cycle on the card. No ing. But it's a 3/2, and it says whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2. If you do, it deals 2 damage to target creature, and you gain 2 life. So these 3, I was debating putting the Reptilian Reflection on this list as well. It's a 1 red, 2 colorless for an enchantment. Whenever you cycle a card, you get a 5/4 haste trample. There it is. The enchantment turns into a 5/4 haste trample. So it's just like a 3 mana charging Monstrosaur in this deck. And then, like Eric, you were saying that there might not be enough cycling cards. I think that with these 4 payoffs, you just play literally every single card that says cycling 1 on it.
You also have,
right?
you also
So
have
Flourishing Flock
artifacts,
has
too.
cycling 1.
Yeah,
The Healer has cycling 1.
Yeah.
The Stinger has cycling 1.
I mean, heck, you could just use the healer if you want, just to play it too.
Yeah, like both of those cards are perfectly reasonable for you to play on turn 2, and then they're never dead late.
You got the crystals.
You'll play like some of the cycling 2 cards, like the Moloch is fine, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You'll play the Imposing Vantasaur, which is cycling 1. You might even play that the
Frostvale
Go for
Ambush.
Blood and the Startling Development, just because they cycle for 1.
The Lava Serpent, if you want to do the rocks.
Yeah. In my experience, this archetype has been the best performer in Limited, and so I think that even though you're limited to basically only Ikoria cards in Artisan, I think that this is going to be a deck in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
The payoffs are so good, and you have so many enablers, and just having so many cards that cycle for 1 colorless means that you can probably play like 20 land in this deck and be fine. Like, maybe even less.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
So
for me,
I don't know if you want to splash blue. I think neutralize being blue makes it awkward, and cycling 2 is twice as bad as cycling 1. So I don't know if you want to splash the blue or not. I would start with building the deck as just straight red-white and then see how it fares, and if it needs to be shorn up in anything, then you can dip into blue. But yeah, I want to cycle some cards, and I want to Zenith Flare some people for 20.
I see we're on the same page right now.
Yeah.
I love Zenith Flare and I love Valiant Rescuer. Hero of Precinct 2.
Yes.
I mean, like, I wish, like, I mean, it'd probably make the set busted. They included the cycle, like, the cycle lands, the common ones. or maybe the
Oh yeah, we don't need that. That's just shenanigans.
Yeah.
or even the deserts.
I think that would just be well. Yeah. Those would be good in this.
Just rename
No,
the
thank
desert to
you.
something else.
That'd be absurd. No.
But yeah. I really.
Okay, so that is our top 10, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm
lots of powerful
excited
cards.
to see like what decks people build. For people out there on YouTube that are passionate about the format and can't wait for the one weekend a month or a one weekend a cycle that Wizards lets you play Arena against strangers on Arena. Or I'm sorry, lets you play Artisan against strangers on Arena. Come join our Discord, and hopefully you can set up some games with other enthusiasts of the format.
Yes.
Because it's a sweet format. I think that there's tons of sweet decks, especially now with this new sweet set. And I cannot wait to play some games. I don't know if I'll have time to record any deck techs anytime soon, but hopefully you guys will be able to and get them up on the YouTube channel. So
Oh, we have
definitely
the
hit that
tags.
subscribe button if you
Yes.
want to stay up to date on our content. And then, of course, come become a patron. Even for $1 a month, you get access to the Discord. You get to support a great project and join an awesome community that hopefully will keep growing.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Any final shout-outs, gentlemen?
Shout outs to like, you know, the youth. Like, shout outs to our youth. You know, feel bad because we're kind of because of what's going on. No, we can't have any youth tournaments or like the scholarship tournament cover. They're all postponed. But then big shout outs to all the youth. As long as you guys are keeping safe, we want to make sure that you guys are safe first and foremost. Yeah, man. Shout out to all the youth. Yeah.
And if you want to get your Magic fix in quarantine, then MTG Arena is the place.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I'll put up my arena name so you folks can message me and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. And go ahead and join the Discord,
Discord,
and
please.
we can get some games set up.
Wait. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
You can be free to play on Arena and get a competitive standard Artisan deck very quickly. So
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Join up that Discord, get some standard Artisan games in. All right, I think that's it.
Yes.
We're
Thank
done,
you,
gentlemen.
guys. Take care.
Peace. Thank you for stopping by.
Aloha.
See ya.
Bye.